Let's talk about deals for a minute. I get calls and emails from members that are offered a deal with a production music library through a taxi listing. They got forwarded. 6 months later, they get a call and they get a contract in the mail. And they call me up and go, I can't believe you hooked me up with this company. They want half of my publishing or they want all of my publishing. Give our viewers kind of a range of, this is like the most musician favorable deal you might get and this is the least. But they're all a range of kind of acceptable, right? There aren't really any, I haven't run across any libraries that are really truly ripping people off. These are standard deals. These are deals that are normal through industry-wide. Tell our members.
Well, the most favorable deal that you're gonna get is probably a deal that has some kind of a co-publishing agreement where you get part of the publishing, you retain your entire writer share, and usually when
on top of, so you might keep half the publishing and the entire.
Yeah, so you would essentially get 75% of everything that comes in. Okay. That would be a very favorable deal.
Are those somewhat rare?
They are, yeah, they're fairly rare. I would say the most common deal that you will find is a deal that's, they take the publishing, you keep the writer, so it's essentially a 50-50 split. There's variations of those 50-50 splits. There's variations where you don't get paid any money whatsoever up front. Mm-hmm. In those cases, you usually get 50% of everything. And then there's other situation, a lot of times when a library actually pays you money for the track.
But that's usually when you're making, they call you and say, hey Matt, I need you to make a salsa track. They're kind of custom ordering a track from you. Right.
Yeah, usually, yes. Mm. Although it also happens if you just submitted the right piece of music. Sometimes they will want to pay you for that piece of music. If they do, they usually don't want to give you
a sweet deal on the back end.
Yeah, they'll usually give you a 50-50 on the royalties, but they usually won't give you any of the license fees. Because I think maybe we haven't talked about that. There's license fees, which is like every time a song gets used in a film and television situation or in a commercial or something like that, the production company who produces that show, film or commercial needs to get the permission, the license to actually use that piece of music. And in order to get that piece of paper, that license that says yes you can use the piece of music, they usually have to pay a fee, and that's the license fee. So that's one part of the back-end income that a music library will get. And the other part is the actual royalties that come in, performance royalties when the piece of music airs on television, or in the case of movies, if you also get paid for foreign theatrical performances, not for the US, but for all other countries pretty much.
People, I know that a lot of people, when they get that contract in the mail, they panic and they feel like they need to go to an attorney, which they should. I'm not saying people shouldn't go to an attorney, but they may live in Peoria, Illinois, or somewhere in Wyoming, and they go to an attorney that really doesn't know anything, number one, about the music industry. More specifically, a music attorney that normally deals with record deals and straight-ahead publishing deals for regular songwriters who are staff writers, they might look at a library deal and go, oh my God, because it's not normal to them. But what you're saying is these are all standard deals. You can't really carve out a different or better deal because these are standard in the industry, right?
You can carve out a better deal sometimes, yeah.
Won't they just move on to the next guy?
It depends on what your leverage is. It depends on how badly you want the deal or how badly they want the song. I've turned down deals and had people come back to me and say, okay, well, maybe we can do something a little better for you. Mm-hmm. But I've also turned down deals and nobody came back to me. And I've also accepted deals that I thought, okay, well, that's not a very good deal. I think the advice I would give somebody if you get that first deal is, yes, absolutely hire an entertainment attorney that's qualified in this field.
The specialty.
And what I would want him to do is, I wouldn't want him to go over that contract and tell me, yeah, it's okay, or no, it's not good, or I would want to actually sit down with that person. That can be on the phone, it doesn't have to be in person, and I want them to go over every single paragraph with you and tell you, okay, what this means is this, and this is good or bad because of this and this. Once you have that knowledge, you don't have to go to an entertainment attorney for every single song deal anymore, because you've now figured out, okay, what is bad, what is good, and then it's all about give and take, and it's all about, you know, figuring out who's got the better leverage, basically. You know, sometimes you can get more if they really, really want your piece of music, and sometimes, you know, you gotta give something up to get your foot in the door.
My feeling, if I were in your shoes or one of our viewers' shoes and somebody offered me a deal, I would go on the Taxi message board, ask you and a half a dozen other guys, is this a fairly standard deal? I'm not signing anything stupid here. Yes, this is a fairly standard deal. I would be inclined to take that standard deal to build that relationship with Library One. And then as they keep coming back to me for more and more stuff, at that point maybe I'd feel like I had some leverage and say, look, we've got a nice working relationship. I'd like a little better deal, and test the waters at that point.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it. And another thing to keep in mind is, again, we're talking about library music, which means you need a large catalog of songs, which means that one song deal is not so, you know, earth-shattering, you know. Right. So it's important to keep that in mind. This is not like when you're signing a record deal and you're under that contract with that record company, right, for, you know, you're their slave, basically. This is a deal for one song, and you already know, if you really are serious about getting into this field, you already know you need hundreds of songs, right, to make a nice living. So don't get too paranoid about this one single song.